is Bones, and let's go ahead and take a look at some custom work that I've done. Now this is going to be on the Nightwing from the Beastboy Wave. We did get some pretty awesome figures in that wave. You have Raven, Donna Troy, Arsenal, and of course Nightwing. And once you collect them, you can build that awesome Beast Boy Mega Fig. Now I haven't reviewed him, but I'm gonna get to it. Most of you know I am a big procrastinator and I have a lot of stuff going on. So when I could do these videos, it's pretty fun for me, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, of course, when this one came out, this was one of the more problematic figures in the wave. Now, he only came with fists. He did not come with his sticks because of that. And a lot of people were like not really feeling that John Kent reused body once more. Now, I have to be honest with you, and in the recent weeks, I've been looking at all the figures that have that John Kent body. You have Wallace West Kid Flash, you have Project Superman, you have Impulse, and a couple of other ones. The Superboy is another one that I really enjoyed, but this Nightwing, for some reason, and all of those figures that I just mentioned, for some reason they're really growing on me, and I'm having a lot of fun like posing them and checking them out, adding little details to them. For some reason, I'm just getting like a big affinity for those figures. So pretty interesting. I didn't think that that would happen, but here we are. Now I wanted to fix all of the problems and add a little bit of details that were more my preference to this figure. Not too much work, but you do have to know what you're doing, and you do have to not be scared to cut into these figures. Now, of course, I proved that when I added the goggles to the Blue Beetle figure. But this was more like a project that I did because I kind of felt like this was an awesome Nightwing figure, and people were just not giving it the respect because of the certain choices that, McFarlane made when he released it. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. Now, first off, it was a really nice design. Now, I love the Nightwing symbol. I love the color of blue that they chose. I felt that the Buck from the John Kent really fit this like more teen version of Dick Grayson that they were going for, because he hasn't really fully matured into the full Nightwing that protects Bloodhaven. So I just thought that this was a good use of this teen body for this version of Nightwing. Come to find out, in the comics, there's like an actual artist version that this is kind of based on, and I didn't know that. You guys let me know. But even once I figured that out, I really love the head sculpt. It has like a sort of quirkiness and coolness. Now, you guys might not know, but I am a pretty big Nightwing fan. But also, over the years, I've collected a lot of Nightwing figures. If I were to bring out all of my DC Universe Classics Nightwings, I think I have 10, something like that. Different colors, different versions, customs. And that was a really nice looking Nightwing figure. But I actually also do have the Essentials Nightwing and some of the Mattel DC Multiverse Nightwing. So, big Nightwing fan. Always thought he was cool. I remember seeing an image of him where he kind of felt kind of like a spy or like a private eye, something like that. Like just the image when I was younger and I would see that, it just gave me that feeling like that he was like a sort of an agent or something like that. But later on growing up, I did find out, his whole story. But I was always really into Nightwing. I thought he had an awesome, sleek look. He doesn't have all that, cumbersome things like Batman does. And I thought they did a real good job with this figure for the most part. Now, there was a couple things that I did not like, but those are just choices when they design these and produce them. But let's go ahead and see the work I did. Now we'll start off with the head. The only problem I had with the head, I love the domino mask color, love the sculpt. The one thing I did not like was the hair. Now, he had, I thought, a little bit of excessive, strands of hair that kind of blocked the actual face sculpt. And you know, I have long hair, and I know that it's a pain in the butt when you got those bangs like in front of your face. So the first thing I did was actually clip one of the bangs that was like right in front of his face, but I didn't get rid of it. I actually moved it over, and it kind of gives the hair a little bit more flair popping out this way. So I really liked the way it came out. Of course, I added some highlights of blue and a little bit of glossy black paint to give it a little bit more, you know, pop. And I really, really love this head sculpt now. It looks awesome. And it is a kind of difference to the originally released version, but it is more to my taste. Pretty awesome. Now, the other thing that I didn't like, that it's a small thing, but it's just something, you know, that I thought was needed, and that was that the rings for the bushings in the shoulder socket, they were just solid black. And what ends up happening is that when you move the arms around, you'll get like that black that kind of breaks up the blue from the chest emblem into the shoulder, and I just don't like that. So I have actually painted some of those ring bushings before, like on Hal Jordan, but I just wanted to see if it would like complete this guy to give him like that full Nightwing look. And actually it came out really nice. I was able to match the paint, I mean, almost spot on. And when you move the arm around, you get that blue connection, you know, that it doesn't have that separation that happens when it's all black. And at the same time, when you lift it up, I did leave half of it black so that the underside actually continues that black scheme. So it's almost perfect. It looks really cool. Also in the back, when you look at it from the back, it matches up really nicely and gives you that, you know, seamless blue scheme that looks really good. Now, another thing in the back was, you know, I wanted to add the storage for the weapons, but I didn't really want to put anything on the, like that accent Nightwing, you know, design that they have on there. I just didn't want to cover it up. And it's pretty interesting because I took a look at the other Nightwing figures, and then I kind of figured out that it doesn't necessarily have to be on that blue part, and it actually matched up perfectly with the V shape right in the dead of the back. Now, I actually got this storage piece from the Jokerized version of Nightwing, the red one, because I had used one to make a custom, and I still had that, you know, little harness. So it kind of worked out perfectly for me. I was able to use it on this Nightwing. But it actually came out pretty clean. I painted it black, and it looks really good, and actually follows the shape of that accent design from the blue part of the Nightwing. So it all worked out really well. Now, of course, you have the storage, but you do need the Eskrima sticks or the batons. Now, the big problem with this was that the original version came with fists. So before I could even think about the sticks, I had to find out what hands I was going to use, you know, on this guy. And of course, from that same Jokerized Nightwing, I grabbed the hands from him, but they did not fit exactly. So I did have to modify the peg from the wrist part of this figure to allow these original, you know, Nightwing hands to pop on there and actually pop to where they're snugly fit and they're not loose or falling off. But I did do it in the end, so now he has these hands that are actually articulated and painted to match up, you know, with the design on the sleeve. And that was the more important part to me, was getting the two fingers and the back of the hand to match up and line up with the design and the color. So that's another part that came out awesome. Now, the other thing was that if I wanted to, I can actually pop the fist back on here. If I want to take photos or have them with fist, it's not a problem, because the fist, I actually bored them out. So now they actually fit on the peg that fits these hands. So I can also do that, it's not a problem. So then we moved on to the actual Eskrima sticks. Now, I was going to take some from different versions of Nightwings that I had left over, but then I thought of something even more interesting, and that was that I actually had two single batons. One was the silver one from the DC Universe Classics, and one was like a black one from the Mattel DC Multiverse version. But I had ordered these to do like custom work, and they came only with one baton. And at the time, I was like, I don't really care because it was a cheap figure. I think they might have been like 15, 20 bucks, but I didn't care because I was going to use them for custom work. So the batons became like extra fodder that I just threw in a little box. Well, what I ended up doing was actually cutting them in half and then joining the two opposite parts together. So now you have the lower silver part and then the upper Mattel part with the little like butt end of it. And I was like, you know what this is gonna make is gonna make two like very unique batons for this version of Nightwing, since he didn't come with any. But that way these are not actually taken from any of the other Nightwings, so these are specifically for my custom version. Now I did paint it black, and then I added that blue, light blue, tips to it, but they actually fit in his hand and they look really good because they're not so too long, too big. They're also not too thin. They're just perfectly sized. All in all, it all worked good in the end. And also, if you want, you can actually storage these pretty simply on the back. So basically, once I did all of that work, I was pretty happy with them. But there was still something that was bugging me, even though all the cool, paint and added features that I did. One thing that was bugging me was the waist crunch. Now, this buck from John Kent is notorious that you'd get absolutely almost nil of crunch forward. And of course, while I was, painting the bushings and I took off the arms, I went ahead and popped off the legs. And then I went ahead and popped off the lower torso and the trunks. Said, well, since I have it open, I might as well go ahead and mod these, portholes. So it's kind of the same thing when you mod a head. The neck port, you kind of like Dremel a hole where the little peg is actually going to fit in there to give it more range. So you end up doing that into the waist one. So now when he goes forward, that peg actually has a spot to go forward. So it allows him to get more crunch. And I actually did it on both, on the upper peg between the chest and the abdomen, and then the abdomen into the hips. So now he has a pretty nice crunch. Could lean forward, actually allows you to get him in more poses, deeper, kneeling down poses and stuff like that. So all in all, it came out really awesome. Now even more, I think this is one of the best Nightwing figures ever produced. The only bad part is that you do have to do these mods to get them the way you want them. But for a $20 figure, after a little bit of love, he is awesome. Now I do want to bring out the original classic Nightwing from the first wave. This is still my favorite Nightwing. I mean, this one's awesome. It just depends on your preference, but I still love this Nightwing. Now, if we would have waited longer to get a Nightwing, I'm pretty sure he would have the sculpted wrist joints, the sculpted ankle joints. The plastic would be a little bit more smoother to give you, not, because these are really stiff and they're hard plastic. And I think that if we would have waited a little longer, we would have got a cleaned up version. But he is still really nice. I love this Nightwing figure. No one's ever gonna change my mind. This is my favorite Nightwing from McFarlane. So, just really love that figure. Now we did get another blue Nightwing, but that was the Knight's Nightwing. Which of course this is a completely other take on him. You can actually see his eyes in the head sculpt, which I'm not a big fan of. But I really love actually two things from him, and that is his batons. They're sculpt work and accent paint. They look cool. And also the trim that they did on the bottom of the shoes just adds like a whole nother little aspect to him, which is kind of cool because they did the same thing for this Nightwing, but they did it in the light blue. But they're all pretty nice Nightwings. Like I said, I'm a big Nightwing fan. And you can also say like, well, Bones, you messed up your original release version, right? Like now you've modified it. It's never gonna be the standard release. Well, do not fear, my friends, because I already bought another one. There was like a sale on GameStop, and I picked up like 6 figures. So he ended up costing me, I think, like $19. So now if I want to have the original, Teen Titans Wave version, I have it, but I also have my awesome custom Nightwing. But it's actually pretty cool, and you could try these, little things yourself. Any questions, just go ahead and ask me down below or check out my Instagram. I always put pictures of what I'm working on and stuff like that on there. But anyways, you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.